In the 2023 season, the Washington Commanders were a disaster. Fourth-year head coach Ron Rivera was fired after a dismal 4-13 finish, placing them last in the division and second from the bottom in league standings. The defense was the worst in the league, allowing a league-wide high 518 points, while only scoring 329 of their own on offense. Quarterback Sam Howell was sacked 65 times for 449 yards, while passing for 3,946 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 21 interceptions. Leading receiver Terry McLaurin finished with 1,002 yards and only 4 touchdowns, his worst statistical season since his rookie year in 2019. The ground game was lacking as well, with a team average of 4.4 yards per rush. The future seemed grim for the Commanders. They hired former Dallas defensive coordinator Dan Quinn as their head coach, a move that was looked on with much skepticism and doubt. Quinn's last head coaching job was with the Falcons from 2015 to 2020, where he was fired mid-season due to an 0-5 start. The Commanders also brought on former Arizona Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury as their offensive coordinator, another move that many believed would haunt them. Cliff led the Cardinals from 2019 to 2022. Despite signing a 6-year extension earlier that year, the team's 4-13 finish led to Cliff's firing. He then went on to join the University of Southern California Trojans as a senior offensive analyst in 2023, before joining Quinn and the Commanders for 2024. To top it all off, the previous team owner, Dan Snyder, surrounded by personal controversies and scandals, sold the team to Josh Harris for just over $6 billion. The expectations for this team were at rock bottom. Not only was the outlook for 2024 dismal, the team has struggled in key areas for years. One of these areas was the quarterback position. The franchise had started 26 different quarterbacks since the year 2000, and only 2 of them had started entire consecutive seasons. On April 25, 2024, the Commanders did something that changed the course of the season before it even began. With the second overall pick, they selected quarterback Jayden Daniels from LSU. After starting his college career playing for Arizona State, Daniels transferred to LSU in 2022 and started 2 seasons there. He won the Heisman Trophy in 2023 following a 40-touchdown, 4-interception season. Daniels was not the focal point of the draft for most people. Much of the buzz surrounded USC quarterback Caleb Williams, who was drafted first overall by the Chicago Bears, one of the few teams with a worse history than the Commanders at the position. There were also headlines regarding the record 14 straight offensive players drafted. The Eagles used their first 2 picks on cornerbacks, the Rams drafted 2 defensive linemen from Florida State, and there was plenty of controversy surrounding the Falcons' selection of quarterback Michael Penix, despite signing Kirk Cousins to a $180 million contract just a month prior. Daniels certainly got his share of the spotlight, but it didn't seem as though anyone was quite prepared for what was about to take place. Between the draft and the start of the season, record predictions started to show a clear expectation: mediocrity. CBS Sports called a 7-10 season. ESPN projected 6.7 wins. NFL Network's Cynthia Freyland predicted 7 wins, enough for a third-place finish in the NFC East. PFF listed a projected win total of 7.2245. Despite all of this, Daniels and the Commanders shocked the league, turning around one of the worst teams in the league just months before and becoming a dominant force in the NFC. They finished 12-5, second in their division behind only the Super Bowl champion Eagles, and walked into the playoffs as the 5th seed. One aspect of what made Daniels successful is what the team did to make him comfortable. At LSU, Daniels had been using a VR system to get more comfortable integrating offensive plays, reading defensive tendencies, and sharpening his defensive reading. Commanders were quick to implement this same system to continue promoting Daniels' adjustment to the NFL speed and tendencies of teams they were playing. Daniels even stated that he runs the simulations at a higher speed in VR, so that the game literally slows down for him on the field. To add to the QB's experience, Cliff Kingsbury recorded his voice calling out the plays for Daniels to listen to and adjust to while in the simulation. The results of this technology were on full display in Week 5 against the Cleveland Browns. During the replay on a 65-yard pass, the announcers can be heard marveling at how Daniels evaded the pressure, saying it normally would have been a sack. But Daniels not only managed to slip by the free defender, but he dropped a dime to McLaurin down the field to set them up just outside the end zone. Compare his awareness to that of Will Levis on this play against the Packers. The defenders come from the same side and roughly the same speed, but Levis never saw it coming, whereas Daniels made a highlight reel play. Daniels' awareness of the pocket and where pressure is coming from is almost certainly aided by his time in the VR simulations. Another aspect that made Daniels' transition to the big leagues easier was the offense that Kingsbury implemented. Prior to their matchup in Week 3, Bengals cornerback Cam Taylor-Britt mocked the simplicity of Kingsbury's offense, calling it, quote, a nice college offense, and saying, quote, they kept it real simple for Daniels. This was true. Kingsbury and the Commanders utilized RPOs, or run-pass option plays, at a higher rate than any other team. Throughout the course of the season, Daniels ran 112 RPOs. RPOs happen to be a very common college play, run at much higher rates than in the NFL. although the rates in the NFL are increasing. Daniels was quite successful executing these plays. He had 158 rushing yards on 32 attempts and 605 passing yards on 79 attempts when running RPOs. Making Daniels' transition to the NFL smooth and simple was a strategy that paid off for Kingsbury and the Commanders. Despite Taylor Britt's confidence, Daniels and his simple offense buried the Bengals' defense. The Commanders scored touchdowns on all 4 of their first drives. On the first drive, Daniels set up a Brian Robinson rushing touchdown with a perfect strike over the middle to Luke McCaffrey. He continued to light up the defense, finishing the night with 21 completions on 23 attempts, 91.3% completion rate, with 254 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. The Commanders proved that sometimes simple is all you need to win football games. However, the Commanders' offense didn't stay as simple as it looked over the first few weeks. Through the first 2 weeks of the season, Daniels completed just over 41% of his passes behind the line of scrimmage and was 0 for 2 on deep passes. Kingsbury was setting up short, quick passes for Daniels, especially early in the season. However, as time went on, Daniels developed into a more competent passer. Against the Giants in Week 9, Daniels completed all 3 of his deep passing attempts. The most impressive of these was a phenomenal touchdown pass to Terry McLaurin to end the first half. First and 10 from the Giants' 18-yard line, Daniels knew exactly where he wanted the ball to go. He takes the snap, looks left, holds it for just a moment, and gets it right over the defender in good coverage to increase their lead. One of Daniels' most iconic plays from the 2024 season came against the Chicago Bears in Week 8. The Commanders were down 3 points, set up on their own 48-yard line with only 2 seconds left in the game. Jayden Daniels took the snap, dropped back, danced around to the right, back to the left, sitting back at his own 30, before stepping up and launching a rocket down the field. It fell onto a crowd of bodies on the goal line, bounced up, and fell directly into the waiting arms of Noah Brown for the game-winning touchdown. The ball traveled around 65 yards through the air and stands as a testament to Daniels' arm strength and poise in difficult situations. Another prime example of these strengths came in Week 12 against the Cowboys. Once again, the Commanders were losing and low on time, this time with 24 seconds left. Starting on his own 14-yard line, Jayden Daniels took the snap, stepped up in the pocket, and beamed a perfect pass to Terry McLaurin in stride down the right sideline. McLaurin caught the ball around the Commanders' 40, with 60 yards after the catch for a touchdown. Unfortunately, the Commanders would still go on to lose that game, but they had a real chance thanks to Daniels' poise. In his epic fourth-quarter comeback against the Eagles in Week 16, Daniels excelled passing deep. Standing in his own end zone, he uncorked a rainbow to De'Ami Brown for a gain of 51 yards, nearly all of which was through the air. He continued to attack the formidable Eagles secondary through the air, finishing with 24 pass attempts for 258 yards and 5 passing touchdowns. According to stats collected by Fantasy Pros, Jayden Daniels was second in the league on passing attempts over 50 yards. This clear improvement through the season indicates an increase in confidence in Daniels' ability, and Kingsbury gave him more and more control as the season progressed. One very interesting aspect of the Commanders' offense in 2024 was the rate at which they didn't huddle. Entering the divisional round of the playoffs, the Commanders had run plays without a huddle 61% of the time, the most in the league by a good margin. Not only that, but they were successful. The team averaged 5.4 yards per carry on no-huddle run plays, over a yard over the league average yards per carry. Daniels' ability to diagnose the defense and audible to a new play became apparent even on his first drive in the NFL. Preseason Week 1 against the New York Jets, Daniels only played 1 drive, but he made a positive impact early. Seeing the Jets had too many defenders low in the box for the play call to work, he audibled De'Ami Brown into a go route. He subsequently connected with Brown for a quick 42 yards. Daniels has the ability to quickly analyze the defense and pivot to a new play if the original call looks unlikely to work. Possibly the most important reason for Daniels' success in the NFL is his precision. Prior to the draft, former linebacker and Fox Sports analyst Emmanuel Acho broke down what he believed to be Daniels' greatest strength. Quote, "His football placement, it is elite. He is pinpoint accurate." In his final season at LSU, Daniels had a 72.2% completion percentage across 12 games. For comparison, in the NFL that season, Jake Browning led the league in completion percentage at 70.4% after playing only 9 games. Dak Prescott was second with 69.5% across 17 games. Daniels' precision didn't waver upon joining the NFL. He finished 6th overall in completion percentage at 69%. His best completion percentage in a game, excluding against Carolina, where he exited after only 2 pass attempts, was against Cincinnati as previously mentioned, while his worst was against Pittsburgh in Week 10 and Dallas in Week 18 at 50%. It is worth noting that Daniels did exit the game against Dallas as well due to injury. Daniels isn't only strong passing, however, he also has impressive ability on the ground. In Week 13, facing off against the Titans, Daniels showcased his shiftiness very early in the game. On a play-action keeper, Daniels ended up face-to-face with 2 Titans defenders, both of whom looked well-positioned to make a tackle for loss. He quickly juked back, darted forward again, slipping both defenders, and pushed his way into the end zone for a touchdown. The play looks impossible, especially given the fact that 2 yards out from the end zone, Daniels is well within arm's reach of at least 5 different Titans defenders. Daniels has the speed to punish any defense that isn't focused on keeping him contained. On his first play from the scrimmage against the Panthers in Week 7, Daniels ran a read option, taking off down the right side. He burst past the first layer of the defense, juked out a safety, and was finally dragged down by the other safety after a huge gain of 46 yards. It certainly didn't hurt that the Commanders' defense and run game proved to be solid as well. The defense ranked 3rd in pass yards allowed per game at 198.8. Rookie cornerback Mike Sainristil had 2 interceptions in the regular season and 2 in the playoffs as well. Veterans Bobby Wagner, Frankie Luvu, and Jeremy Chin, all new to the Commanders in 2024, also made large impacts on the defense. The team's time of possession also reflects well on the defense, having 5 games with over 35 minutes of offense. Back on the offensive side of the ball, the tandem backfield of Brian Robinson and Austin Ekeler served the team well. Both backs missed a few games due to injury, and neither was the most impressive alone, but they were solid all the same. Robinson finished with 799 rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. Ekeler finished looking very balanced in the rush and pass game with 367 rush yards and 366 receiving yards. They also finished with yards per carry of 4.3 and 4.8 respectively. It is worth noting here that Jayden Daniels finished with an average of 6 yards per carry and led the team in rushing. In the end, the Commanders fell just short of playing in the biggest game possible. After toppling the 4th seed Buccaneers and the 1 seed Lions in the playoffs, the Commanders lost in the conference championship to their division rival Eagles in their 3rd matchup of the season. Daniels finished the regular season with 25 passing touchdowns and 9 interceptions. He also tacked on 6 rushing touchdowns. In the playoffs, he scored 5 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, and threw only 1 interception. He also became only the 6th rookie quarterback since the 1970 NFL merger to play in a conference championship. Despite falling short of the Super Bowl, Daniels accomplished more than anyone expected in his rookie season. It wasn't necessarily as flashy as Cam Newton, RG3, or Justin Herbert's rookie seasons. It also wasn't memorable for the same reasons as Peyton Manning or Tom Brady. However, Jayden Daniels helped to right the ship for a failing franchise. He helped lead them to the playoffs for the first time since 2020, won a playoff game for the first time since 2005, and made it to the conference championship for the first time since 1991 when they won the Super Bowl. It is clear the Commanders have plenty to look forward to in the next season. It is very likely that the Commanders bolster their offense through the draft, likely looking to upgrade the offensive line and receiving core to give Daniels every chance to succeed. A few names that have been connected to the Commanders so far include Ohio State offensive tackle Josh Simmons, Ole Miss receiver Trey Harris, and Ohio State receiver Emeka Egbuka. This is in addition to the recent news that the Commanders traded for wide receiver Deebo Samuel from the 49ers, who should be able to help fill in the wide receiver 2 spot opposite McLaurin. Barring a sophomore slump or, God forbid, an injury, it is quite possible that Daniels will improve and develop to be the best quarterback in the NFC, or possibly the entire NFL. Thank you all so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this deep dive, and let us know in the comments what subject you think we should discuss next time.